Hello and welcome back to the Arsenal Match Reaction Show. This is a preview episode for Arsenal versus Tottenham happening this Sunday afternoon. And today I'm going to talk to you about who should replace Gabriel in the centre of our defence. Who might return in the attacking lineup? That's very exciting to potentially get some of our stars back. What our lineup might be. And of course, how are Tottenham getting on? Is there anything we need to be worried about? Or will this be another simple 3 points against our North London rivals? If you have been here a little while, thank you so much for being patient with me. This has been a little bit of a break whilst I change around some of the stuff we do with the podcast. If you are on YouTube right now, you will see some slides and some visual content, which is new. And obviously, if you're on audio platforms, you will just hear my voice, but I will just try and describe everything that is on the screen to you as we go. And I'm very, very excited to be back. Let's get into it. Arsenal versus Tottenham, and the big news over the international break is this man, Gabriel Magalhaes, getting a groin injury in Brazil's friendly against Senegal. Disappointing. I mean, so upsetting. Seeming it was a kind of meaningless game at the Emirates, of all places. Brazil have played at the Emirates a lot over recent years. And it was just so upsetting to see what should have been maybe a simple game for him to get through end up with us losing our best player of the season so far, in my opinion. You may disagree, but I think he has been comfortably our best player, definitely in both boxes. He's had a couple of ropey moments, but overall, I think he's been brilliant. So really, really disappointing. There are rumours that he was like warming up on his own. Not warming up with the team, is maybe carrying something before going into the game. Ancelotti apologized after the Brazil match in his post-match press conference. So that's really interesting to me. Has there been something going on? Did Gabriel force something? Maybe he was already quite tired, maybe carrying something already, forced himself to play in the game. And that led to his injury and him coming off. There are reports going around right now, and I can't believe I'm saying this, that he might be out for 1 to 2 months. That's coming out of The Athletic. Of course, we're in late November now, so that is a huge amount of football he could miss. And it's a really, really sad state of affairs for Arsenal fans, because we had the whole of last year and it felt like we were being kicked when we were down. We had Havertz's injury, we had Saka's injury, Odegaard's injury, all to contend with. Gabriel Jesus' second injury, of course, when he did his ACL. We had to contend with so many injuries all year round, and this year it just feels like it's carrying on. And we had relied on the defence so far to get round the fact that we were missing lots and lots of attackers. And now it seems that we're going to start losing some members of our defence as well. On top of that, Kai Havertz has got injured or re-injured or extended his injury, however you want to put it, during this time as well. We've had those reports come out, so that's pretty disappointing as well. But focusing on the centre-back position, we are extremely lucky to have William Saliba and Gabriel as our two centre-backs. They are a cut above most, well, I would argue all centre-back pairings in the world football. But we do have some very good options. We really, really do. We have Christian Mosquera, who's stepped in really ably so far this year. You can see him top right of your screen. We have Piero Hincapié, who is a big choice, I think, for a lot of people to go in and replace Gabriel for the next run of games. We, of course, have Tottenham on Sunday afternoon, but then Bayern Munich and Chelsea in the space of 7 days. So a really, really difficult run of games. We, of course, have Ben White as well, who has played a lot at centre-back for Arsenal. Remember, he started his career there before he got moved to right-back by Mikel Arteta once William Saliba returned to the team. So there's a number of options. People might also be thinking Calafiori, drop Calafiori into the centre-back spot. But I think it's quite unlikely that we play Calafiori at centre-back in games like this, where the other team are so strong moving forward, or the other teams, I should say, because Tottenham, Bayern Munich and Chelsea, I think Arteta will look to create a centre-back partnership to play all of those. I think that's a really interesting point to kind of think about. I don't think we're going to swap in and swap out too much. I think he wants to create rhythm. So for me, it will be Christian Mosquera, in my opinion. He's played really, really well when he's come in. And we've seen Mikel Arteta this year be quite stringent on where players play. Ethan Nwaneri is a really good example of this, right? Ethan Nwaneri has been stuck in the centre of the pitch. And I've been calling, just give him a game on the right wing. I know his future might be centrally, but I think he needs some confidence. He needs some game time. He needs to maybe score a goal, get a couple of assists, just get some things under his belt to give him some confidence. And I think he'll start playing better based on that. But Mikel Arteta is not interested in that. He is playing Ethan Nwaneri only in the centre of the pitch. And I think it's, he's really, really stuck with where people are going to play. So I can't see Ben White being repurposed into centre-back, and I can't see Piero Hincapié being repurposed into centre-back. There is, of course, the argument long-term of who is the Gabriel deputy, but I think with the number of minutes that have been played so far this year by Christian Mosquera in that centre-back spot, the fact that Piero Hincapié did 180 minutes for Ecuador and has to fly a long way back to London, just can't see him starting. I think it will be Mosquera in that left centre-back spot alongside William Saliba for this game. Of course, Tottenham have some attacking threat. We'll come on to their injuries later, which are really, really hampering them. But I've seen Christian Mosquera play really well against Liverpool. I've seen him play decently against Newcastle, although he was pulled at half-time. I think that was more to do with how he was passing the ball instead of, how he was defending our box. So I think Christian Mosquera will be the player to step in. But let me know below your thoughts. If you're on Spotify, remember you can comment on Spotify. And if you're on YouTube, of course you can comment. So comment down below your centre-back pairing for the match against Spurs. And while you're down there, if you want to hit follow on audio platforms and subscribe on YouTube platforms, I would really, really appreciate that. One man who is back in training, who I'm delighted to see back in training, is Gabriel Jesus. Wasn't expecting these pictures. We've seen a couple of Instagram videos come out from Jesus over recent weeks with him. First, back on grass. That was a really exciting update. And then, of course, back playing with a ball, individual coaching. This is kind of the first time we've seen him with the other players, seemingly in a contact game and ready to go. So that's really, really exciting. He is one of a number of attacking players that I really want to see back. Of course, I mentioned earlier, Kai Havertz probably not going to be back, but will we start to see the return of Gabriel Martinelli? Noni Madueke, perhaps. I think Gabriel Martinelli is maybe the closest. Kai Havertz, I don't think so. Martin Odegaard, based on him going away to Norway, I don't think he will be close either. It seems like he was allowed to go away because Arsenal didn't need him to train. So, he's probably some way, maybe a few weeks still. So Gabriel Martinelli, Gabriel Jesus, if I had my choice, Victor Gyökeres would be great to have back. But look, any of these players coming back, they're all so good that any of these players coming back makes a massive difference. Okay, I think it's likely we'll see Gabriel Jesus on the bench if he's in first team training. That's really, really exciting. I think we might see Gabriel Martinelli on the bench, but I think it's highly unlikely, unfortunately, that we will see any of these guys start. So fingers crossed we can use the game as a way to maybe get 2 goals to the good against Tottenham and then bleed some of these guys back into the squad, bleed them into back into minutes, because Victor Gyökeres, he will need the minutes coming back. Gabriel Jesus, Gabriel Martinelli obviously really need the minutes. It's been 3 weeks since Gyökeres played, maybe 4 since Martinelli played, and basically a year, 11 months-ish since Gabriel Jesus played. Of course, he was in that hot form, wasn't he, before he got injured against Manchester United in the FA Cup all those months ago. So hopefully he comes back firing. I think he had 6 goals in 3 games. That would be lovely to do again. It would be really, really exciting that hopefully we see some attacking players come back. On to Tottenham. They're currently 5th in the league. Not great form for them, to be honest. And if we think we have injury issues, wow, they have a lot. I think they're the team that's struggling the most in the Premier League right now. To be fair, I don't care. This is an Arsenal podcast. I'm absolutely delighted they have injuries. Dejan Kulusevski being injured is massive for us. I think he is comfortably their best player on the ball. Mohamed Kudus being injured is really good. Basuma, Maddison, just key pins in their team that are just not going to be available. Bergvall as well. He's a doubt. Little concussion for him. He is a player that when I've watched him, I've always thought, you're pretty good and only going to get better. So I hate saying that, by the way. I really do hate saying that. So it looks a good picture. We have our injury problems, but they absolutely have their injury problems as well. Like I said about their form, obviously they beat Copenhagen 4-0, but they've had a really bad result, in my opinion, against Manchester United, where they let it slip. Having recovered it, they let it slip really late. We saw all those images of James Maddison in the stands, kind of being embarrassed. The defeat to Newcastle wasn't great, but the one that really stood out as a terrible performance was the Chelsea game. I have a stat in my mind. Forgive me if I don't get it quite right, but it was one of the lowest XG performances, like top 50 lowest XG performances from Tottenham. No, in the Premier League, sorry, from Tottenham. Against Chelsea that there have ever been since we started collecting XG data. So that tells you how bad they were against Chelsea. They could not create a single thing. Obviously, 4 goals against Copenhagen does restore that faith a little bit. But I think with Arsenal's defensive record, us being at home and that performance against Chelsea, plus the Tottenham injuries, especially to some of their key attacking players, Kulusevski, Solanke, Kudus, I already mentioned, I think there is a very, very good chance that even without Gabriel, our defence just comes out on top. Mosquera is a really able deputy, and I think we might see this being a very low scoring game. I think that's a very high possibility. A 1-0 to the Arsenal, a 2-0 to the Arsenal. I think that is a really high potential outcome. Of course, Michael Oliver is the referee. I'm gutted about that. I think he has I don't want to say he's had it out for Arsenal, but there is a pattern that no Arsenal fan enjoys when Michael Oliver referees us. So hopefully we aren't sat here on Monday morning talking about dodgy penalties and bad red card decisions like we usually are with Michael Oliver. And we can talk about what I've just predicted there, our defence being too good for a weak and feeble Tottenham attack. My lineup then, Raya in goal, of course, that's an obvious one. Jurrien Timber at right back. I already mentioned it. Saliba and Mosquera to partner in the centre of defence. Gone with Calafiori at left back. Now, I know he picked up an injury with the Italy squad over the international break, but the reports since have been saying that he's going to be fit. He's going to be fine. Arsenal aren't worried. I think Fabrizio Romano came out. Same time, Gabriel got injured and said they're not worried about Calafiori, but they need tests on Gabriel. Gabriel has obviously since been confirmed as 1 to 2 months. So I think Calafiori will play. I don't think he'll want to put in, a whole new left side of his defence. I don't think there's a chance of that. Tottenham still do have decent players on the wing. I think of Brennan Johnson, players like that who can cause you problems. So I think if he's putting Mosquera in at left centre back, which he has to do, I think he will avoid changing Calafiori for Hincapié or Miles Lewis-Skelly at all. Rice, Subamendi, Eze in the middle. Like I say, Ødegaard went away. I just can't see that playing out in the way, in a positive way, unfortunately. Saka on the right, Merino up top, Trossard on the left. Hopefully, we have Victor Gyökeres up front. I really do hope that, because I think Van der Ven and Romero in the centre-back positions for Tottenham might make Merino's physical limitations look a bit silly. And I think we might struggle to get Merino into the game if he's up against Van der Ven, who I think is a really good player, and Romero, who I don't think is a very good player at all, but has that physicality. I think he might struggle against them. So hopefully we have Victor Gyökeres, who will have much more of a physical battle with those guys, be able to run them back, be able to stop them, break up kind of their rhythm, make life really difficult for them, as we've seen him do for a lot of centre-back pairings so far this year. So like I say, 1 or 2-0 is my prediction. Really, really excited for the game. I do think it's going to be really interesting to watch set pieces in this game. Tottenham are also a very good set piece team this year since Thomas Frank has come in. They have scored a lot of goals from corners. I believe they're third behind Arsenal and Chelsea for the most goals scored from corners. And of course, we are now missing our big weapon at both defending and attacking set pieces of Gabriel. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the set piece battle plays out. We saw last year when Gabriel and Kai Havertz weren't available at the end of last season, our set piece defense really dropped away. Our ability to score from set pieces dropped away. So that's my concern. Can Tottenham get a corner, get a set piece, and get a goal that way? I really, really hope we see players like Saliba, Timber, Calafiori step up. Mosquera as well, step up in the absence of Gabriel and really defend those set pieces hard, because we know Tottenham and Thomas Frank are going to come for those. And I really hope we can see players, still capitalise on the delivery of Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka. They both had really good international breaks. I watched a little bit of the England games. Very impressive, especially Saka. Eze's goal as well. What a finish from him. So look, I think this should be a comfortable victory for Arsenal, but it is the start of a massive week. We just do not know how things are going to play out this week. It's really, really exciting. I think high likelihood that we we better Tottenham. Yeah, high likelihood. I think it's a really good chance that we get a good result against Bayern Munich. Whether that's a win, I don't know. I think it might be a draw. I think that would be a good result for us. And I think the Chelsea game, that's the away game this week. Chelsea will be out to prove a point. They'll have their fans behind them. That could be the more tricky contest. And of course, we will be at the end of the week there. We will be far more tired, having played a lot more games. So it's going to be really interesting to see how, one, Mikel Arteta manages the squad during this period. Two, how the players show up after the international break. And three, how we get on in this first game. Are we going to set the tone for this really difficult run of games? Guys, that's my preview podcast. Tottenham have a lot of injuries. We've got some too, some key positions, but I think we've got the depth to cover it. I think it will be a low-scoring game, 1-2-0, and I think Arsenal will come out on top. Really, really excited to watch the game. If you've enjoyed this episode, like I said, go and hit follow on audio platforms or subscribe on YouTube. If you are on Spotify or you are on YouTube, please leave a comment. Remember, comment your centre-back pairings. We're really trying to push the engagement up on this channel, so I look forward to chatting with you in the comments, and let's hope for a really, really good victory on Sunday. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for following. Thank you for listening, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.